The Sony LYT-901 sensor? This is the beast we've been waiting. Wait, hold on. A 1.12-inch sensor? That's massive. It effectively makes the iPhone and Samsung sensors look like toys. Remember, guys, megapixels are just a number. It's all about the pipeline and how that data is handled.
And the S26 Ultra sensor. See, firstly, you can shoot.
Look at that 100% crop. Samsung is still falling into that over-sharpening trap. It looks artificial. Vivo, on the other, checking the 50MP comparison, iPhone is holding its own, but the Vivo detail is just clinical.
25MP comparison on the Vivo compared to 12MP on Samsung, you can tell that at 100% crop, Vivo maintains the authenticity of the details and doesn't sully it with excessive over-sharpening like the Samsung does. Now moving on to the 25MP compared to the default 24MP on the iPhone and 24MP with
Wow. Look at the no pet sign region. Do I even need to say anything? It's a clean sweep. The fact that a smart color accuracy is where most phones fail. Vivid mode is eye candy, but is it real?
But between Apple and Samsung, I feel like Apple is slightly better at pulling in more details and not as over-sharpened. At 50MP of Vivo compared to 50MP of Samsung and 48MP of the iPhone, just take a look at the 100% crop of the no pets zone region. I mean, do I even have to say anything more? And finally, comparing the 200MP cap.
99% color accuracy? That multispectral sensor is the real game changer here. The refined mode makes the iPhone look like it's using a 2015 filter. This is the new gold standard for mobile color tuning. The reds, the yellows, again, they're perfectly mapped. No oversaturation bleeding at all.
Has the slop. Next up, color accuracy. Now starting with Vivo's default vivid profile, of course it is punchier, it's a warmer look for people who just want a good looking shot out of the camera. Compared to that, the iPhone's standard profile is closer to real life tuning. Samsung is again a bright and colorful look, and it's definitely nothing close to new.
Dynamic range test. This is where the HDR algorithms either shine.
I would say that it's a new gold standard for color tuning and tone mapping on phones. Vivo makes good use of that 5MP multispectral sensor and achieves near 99% color accuracy if you ask me. The reds, the blues.
iPhone blows the highlights to save the shadows. Samsung crushes the shadows to save the highlights. But Vivo, it found the middle ground. That's sophisticated processing. Skin tone rendering,
yellows,
the hardest part of the job. iPhone usually wins this by a mile.
Slightly punchier in
Let's see.
Which means that the iPhone is actually very good too. Now the iPhone also has a natural color mode which I wanted to try out next to refined, and it desaturates a lot. And finally, you still have Vivo's Zeiss Natural, which is a deeper, slightly warmer version of refined. I would say it's a neutral warm, and of course it's not as vivid as vivid. And like I said, Vivo's new color styles also
interesting. The vivid mode on Vivo is a disaster for skin. It's too bright. But switch to refined, it's spot on. Though it seems the algorithm focused so much on the face that it slightly shifted the t-shirt color. Trade-offs, man. Low
the tone mapping.
Vivid has a stress test for any mobile
with
sensor.
A much wider dynamic range tuning with shadows being picked up drastically. In comparison, refined has deeper shadows for that moodier, more true-to-life look.
Vivo is brighter, yes. But look at the Jane Austen text. The noise reduction is so aggressive it's almost smearing the letters. The iPhone keeps the noise but preserves the soul of the text. Sometimes noise is better than a smudge.
Zeiss Natural has a good
The hardware is a Ferrari, but the software still needs to learn how to drive in the brain.
iPhone and Samsung.
Incredible
iPhone
potential.
blows out the highlights but picks up more details from the shadows, whereas Samsung has deeper shadows but it controls the highlights better. By the way, in the second set of samples, I really loved the refined color mode's HDR look here. I mean, Vivo's approach to color styles is, I think, the way the industry should move forward in terms of color tuning for ultra flagships. Now, skin tone rendition in the vivid color mode, which is the default mode by the way, makes it extremely bright and unnatural looking, of course. Now in comparison to that, Samsung makes it pinker and it's again way off from the real skin tone of Parikshit. And the iPhone is closest here but with a nice warm touch. And that's when you should switch to the refined mode, and you can tell that the skin tone rendition is spot on here. But I feel like the algorithm, in a bit to prioritize the skin tone, messes up the t-shirt's color. Zeiss Natural is a tad brighter than the refined color mode, but it is not as bright as Vivid. It's like a good balance between the two once again. Now when you shoot low light photos, Vivo's decision to actually move the night mode option to a landscape and night mode still kind of baffles me. It happened last year itself. But nothing much we can do about that. Let's take a look at the samples. Now the problem here is that Vivo definitely has heavy-handed processing in low light. It is aggressive with the sharpening, which is visible at closer look. But yes, it does give a sense of better detail retention compared to the softness of the iPhone and Samsung, which some people might prefer. Now, if you don't pixel peep, Vivo's shot looks very good. But if you do pixel peep, the purists will have a problem. Now, in this second extreme low light sample, while Vivo is brighter, you can tell at closer crop that it tends to add unnecessary artifacts. And iPhone's details are the most natural looking one here. Now, take a look at the Jane Austen text on the book just to understand what I'm saying. Noise correction is a little aggressive, but it definitely does a very good job on Vivo. And Samsung would be the second best in my opinion. Apple doesn't do much. It actually keeps noise, and generally I do prefer noise, especially if it can bring out natural details. I really want Vivo to tone down that heavy-handed processing because the hardware itself is very capable, like we've established.